Achim Achim Gam Yachad.
Father's 24th Yaherzeit. It's hard for me to believe that it's been 24 years. I was speaking to my brother on the way in, and I'm like, yeah, it's 21 years. It's like, actually 24. The time is, it's hard. It's hard, but I think this small mamad, I'm going to give over a small Mahalach that I think encapsulated what he did when we were singing. I was remembering my father, Abba Shalom, smiling. He was a big man like me, bigger than I was. And one of his things is Shabbos groups. He was a youth director, and Shabbos afternoon, all the kinder, the youth groups of the different shuls that he was the youth director of would come, and he would throw peanuts, what's called peanut juice, Goldbergs peanut juice. Those are, they're hard as a rock. It was like bucks are getting up to Tu B'Shvat. But kids were happy, and I learned a lot. My brother and I, my brother being the youth director for over 18 years in Young Yeshivat Staten Island, now being the director of summer programs in NCSY and bringing over 1,000 kids to Eretz Yisrael to try to inspire them to understand what it means to the schus of being a yid. A lot of it came from my father, Rav Shalom. I wanted to share with you a insight that I saw based on a Gaon Mivilna and based on Menachem Krakovsky, the Sefer Avodas HaMelech, on the Rambam. That, based on the Rambam, for those that were with me, but even if not, in Perek Aleph Halach Aleph of Hilchos Talmud Torah, the Rambam had the Chiddush to say that the Chiyuv of Talmud Torah is not two separate mitzvos, as the Rav Saji going in the Bahag that says it's one mitzvah of Limud Torah, a second mitzvah to teach Torah. But he explains that it's one mitzvah. The mitzvah of learning Torah is the mitzvah to teach Torah. And he brings it up in that context of a katan, aviv, chayav, lulamdo Torah. That it's not only a katan, but it's even a gadol, even when you get older. But he brings it down in the realm of a father and son, of limadatim otam et b'neichem, the D'var Torah. We quoted Rav Tziki that said that that's part of the chiyuv of Talmud Torah, that you should be speaking it all the time. That's why the Rambam brings down the D'var Torah. You should be speaking all the time. Now many, including many achronim, come and ask about the chiyuv, the difference between the source of limadatem al tamet b'neichem and v'shinamtem levanecha. And many of you, when we're together in a Shabbaton, especially when you're away from your family, we all quote the Sifrei based on the pasuk of v'shinamtem levanecha elu talmidecha, that you have to teach your sons, and these are your children. These are your Talmidim, excuse me. The truth is the Rambam quotes it also. But if you read the Rambam carefully in Halacha Bet, together with the Gra, I think there's a bigger chiddush. That's what I wanted to share with you, something that really opened up my eyes. Again, I think encapsulates not only a chiyuv of everybody here, but what my father represented. Halacha Bet says, Keshem shechayav adam lelamed et beno, kachu chayav lelamed et ben beno, is also his grandchild. Shenemar vodatam levanecha livnei vanecha. But then the Rambam continues, not only your grandchildren, v'lo beno ben beno belvad, el mitzvah al. Now, if it was up to me, I would have said the Rambam would have said mitzvah kol ish v'ish, because he had said in Halacha Aleph that nashim are turot. She should have said mitzvah kol ish v'ish mi Yisrael v'lamed et kol ha-talmidim. He doesn't say that, but he says mitzvah kol chacham v'chacham mi Yisrael. You have to define what a chacham is. But he says, mitzvah kol chacham v'chacham b'Yisrael. And I don't think he's referring to Perek Gimel, where he talks about where you become Torato, a Keter Torah, in the classical sense. But it means, at least how I understand it, is a person who knows some Torah. A person who knows some Torah, he's a chacham. So mitzvah kol chacham v'chacham b'Yisrael, lilamed et kol ha-talmidim, to teach all the students. Afa pi shinam banav, shenemar v'shinamtem levanecha, mipi hashmuel lamdu, this is the bright of the Sifreg, banecha elu talmidecha, sha-talmidim are called banim, according to the pasuk in Malachim, shenemar vayitzu b'nei ha-neviim. And then he asked, if that's true, why do we commanded by the son and the grandson? He tells me there's a certain precedence that the children have to come first. This is all good if we didn't have the Gra, because the Gra does something very strange. The Gra says, you know what the source of the Rambam is? The source of the Rambam is the Sifrei. Great. But then the Rambam, then the Gra brings down other sources. Brings down a whole list of sources. One of them is he brings the Gemara in Sanhedrin on Tzaddik Aleph from Bet that says Kol hamonea halacha from your children. It's bad news. I forgot to bring the Gemara up. That if you bring back from the halacha, you're going to get cursed by children in the embryo. He quotes psukim about it. Then he quotes two midrashim which I brought for you here. The Eliyahu Rab and the Tanit of Eliyahu. He says it's Perach Chav Zayin. My edition is Perach Chav Hey. That it says Halo Parus. It's spread out L'Ra'av, or the Ra'av, the person who's starving. Lachmecha, your bread. Ein lechem ela D'var Torah. You know, bread is like Torah. Shneimar Hinei Yamim Ba'im Nu'um Hashem, according to the pasuk in Amos. Vishlachti Ra'av Ba'aretz. And Mikan Amru, here's the medrash. It says as follows: Yesh bo ba'adam D'var Torah. This is, I think, how at least the Gra understood, like what I said about the Chacham. A person has some D'var Torah within them. Yefarnes la'achirim. They have to give it over to others. Kidei shetarbeh chochmato biyado umosifin aleha. Kol ha'osek kein eino nimna mitova atida lavo alehem liyisrael limot HaMashiach. By you giving it over first, you yourself will be increased, and it will help you in the future also with the times of Mashiach. The Medrash later on, the Gra quotes another Medrash, Ki tir'eh arom v'chisito. When a person will see a person who's naked, you have to cover him up. Explains the Midrash here. Im ri'ita echad, what's the arom? Not only naked, that the Midrash talks about that based on the Gemara and Sota, but also that HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw Adam HaRishon naked and he clothed them in Matat Yodei. But there's also another interpretation, agadic, that it's what? Im ri'ita echad mimi she'en bo Torah. If you see somebody who doesn't have Torah, Hichnisil bebeitecha, bring him into your house. Limdeu kriyat shema tefillah, teach him kriyat shema tefillah. Teach him a pasuk or a halacha. Help him in mitzvot. Lefi she'ein arum, a person who's naked in Yisrael is a person who doesn't have Torah. V'dome lemisha omeid arum. And then he quotes the more famous idea that, like Am Yisrael, as we know, what we say in the Seder and the two mitzvot of Dam Pesach and Dam Milah, where we say Vavor alayich v'rech b'damai chayiv, Vato, and it says arum eryah from mitzvot. The Rav Nachman Krukotsky just asked a very simple question. He says, why is the Gra bringing down all of these sources? The Rambam himself already said, "V'shinamtem levanecha letalmidecha." This is like almost every meal that you've heard when you come over to a Rebbe's house. We say, "V'shinamtem levanecha letalmidecha." What was missing? What was missing that the Gra felt that he had to bring these beautiful midrashim? So he gives two answers, but I like the first answer for now. He says that if I only had V'shinamtem levanecha elu talmidecha, I would have thought that my chiyuv is only for the talmidim that I have already. V'shinamtem levanecha elu talmidecha, these are the ones, kamod yalef from Bnei Anivim, we have those already. Hello talmidim hayu, these are your talmidim. But the Rambam is trying to tell you that you have a mitzvah, kol chacham v'chacham lilamedet kol ha-talmidim. To what? You have to go and not just say, okay, I have talmidim. You have to go out and make sure that you have talmidim. And this is what I sent you on the WhatsApp. The Hakdama, thank you Amiel for taking a picture for me to send it. I sent you on the WhatsApp the Hakdama of Moshe Feinstein to his Sefer Dibrot Moshe in Bava Metzia. And he says this exact same Chiddush. That he says that when he's printing all the Svarim, he says, what's the pshat in bringing the Svarim? What's so important about printing Svarim? So he quotes from a Gemara on the fourth line from the Gemara in Tamura. the Gemara in Tamura that says that Yaherzeit davened to the Ribono Shalom and said, Im Barech, if you want to bless me, God, Tivarcheni, number one, with Torah, and number two, Marbeh my Gvuli b'Talmidim, increase my Gvul, my border with Talmidim. And as for Moshe Zatzal, L'chora lo matzinu chi agavna mitzvah acheret, that what? That I have to daven, please let me have more aniyim come to my house. It says, and we know that a lot of people need Gemilah Chasadim. We don't see that. Just as the tefillah, that what? The tefillah is that if I'm giving tzedakah, make sure they're not a ramai, make sure I'm doing it correctly. And he says, even by Avram Avinu, when he davened, it was not just give me more. He just knew because of the chom, people weren't coming. Because of this, explains Rav Moshe the same chiddush that the uncle of Rav Soloveitchik did here in Sefer Avodas HaMelech on the Rambam. He explains, I'll read it to you. He says, but what do we see from here? The pshat is, V'im kein gam et Talmidim, that was the question. Why did he daven that way? And he explains, Aval hu mishum, why did Yaherzeit daven that way? Mishum da chiyuv hu lilamei lekol Talmidim, sheyesh bekocho. You have a chiyuv to teach as many Talmidim as you can. Lilamdam, to teach them. If you had the potential to have more Talmidim and you didn't teach them, it's a misupak whether yotzi or yechiv. It's suffix whether yotzi or chiv. And it's possible if you would have tried harder, you would have had more Talmidim. And that's why he was mitzdayer. Maybe he should have had more Talmidim, and he davened. Therefore, what? There's two levels of it. Rav Moshe has. He says, 1 second. But if I'm going to try to get so many more Talmidim, then what might happen? I might lose my Torah because I'm trying so hard. Therefore, he says that number one, his first tefillah was Barchini b'Torah. That part of the chiyuv is you have to have amelus. You have to be real. You have to sit down with Talmidim. You have to get to know Talmidim. You have to understand Damei Ayin Batu Lana Tolech. That takes time. And I'm afraid from that's going to take away from my Torah. So therefore, the bracha is first of all Barchini b'Torah. Make sure through my hishtadlus of being mekayim this mitzvah of Talmud Torah in its full sense to have as many Talmidim as possible. That Barchini b'Torah. Number two is he says L'arbot Gvuli b'Torah, and that's why. That's the idea. He quotes the Gemara later on, also in Ksubis. We're not going to do it now because the time is short. But I believe that's the chiddush here, where he says mitzvah kol adam l'lamei l'ribui talmidim she'efshar. And he says that's the pshat in printing svarim, and that's why I encourage talmidim from day one definitely to write up your chidushim, to be able to that's the chiddush of the Rambam. Chiddush of the Rambam mitzvah. Akol chacham v'chacham Yisrael, as the Vilna Gaon explains it, every single person here fits into that definition of a chacham. And therefore, again, don't misinterpret my words. I'm not saying missionize and go saying that you know everything, go be condescending. I know Torah, you don't know Torah. Obviously, that's not what I mean. But the idea of when you're learning Torah, when you're a chacham, and you have this chus of having parents that sent you to yeshiva, and you're becoming malei the gadush of Torah, or chiyuv of Talmud Torah is not just to sit in a cave and only be to ourselves, but to be able to spread it to others, to be able to have more Talmidim, to spread it around. And this is what Chanukah is about. Chanukah is this idea where they wanted us to forget Torah. They wanted to forget our Torah. They wanted you to learn wisdom. They wanted to have just the beauty of the physical. We have to go and be mechazek, Be'ezrat Hashem, that through this halach of the Rambam, the Gro's interpretation, may we be zocheh for each of us to be fulfill the bracha of Yaherzeit in the Gemara tomorrow that says number one, Barchinu b'Torah. Everyone here should continue becoming more and more of a chacham. And number two, that everybody should be able to Be'ezrat Hashem marbeh gvulim b'Talmidim as you continue growing in your Torah and your Shemayim. You should have more Talmidim, and hopefully Be'ezrat Hashem everyone should make a bracha that it's neatly from the neshama of my father, who spent his life and together with my mother spent their lives really going to really uplift Jews around the world, to be able to see the Ribono Shalom, to live a life of Torah mitzvos. And Mirz Hashem, they have beautiful grandchildren now who hopefully are following their ways here in Medinat Yisrael. Everyone should please, I wanted to thank my wife who made some cakes, and there's drinks. Everyone should make Hakotel. Let's spread it around.